we're going to get into the problem. All right. On Monday, and I don't like show all the news headlines, but I just want to bring you to Monday in a small coastal town in Maine named Bedford. All right. Immigration officers shot and killed a 26-year-old man named Juan Sebastian Guerrero. Okay. And I'm going to be careful to tell you what is reported and by whom, because these names deserve accuracy. And so do you, my friends. The one person who I can see is watching me right now, which gives me great joy. Okay. Thank you for being here. All right. According to Time, all right, and the reporting out of Maine, ICE had been for surveilling a home since around 7 o'clock on Monday morning. A man left home in a car. Officers moved in to stop the vehicle, and when they say he tried to drive away, an officer fired his weapon and he died of injuries. Sit with that for a second. Surveilling at home at dawn, a man gets into his private car in his area or driveway. He tries to leave and he is killed for leaving. Advocacy groups in Maine said one came here, hear words, to live and work. They say he was authorized to work, that he had been issued a social security number, he was married and had a 3-year-old daughter. And then this reported by CNN from Maine's own Senator Angus Keene, who had spoken with the head of Homeland Security. The government the government was not pursuing Juan Sebastian Guerrero. Guerrero? Guerrero. Excuse me. Forgive me for mispronouncing your name. Okay? He was not the target. And the officers and senators said, as usual, do not seem to have been wearing body cameras. But we could see the car driving aimlessly in a circle due to a man that was dead or unable to do anything due to these injuries. Not the target, no body cam. The father of the 3-year-old shot in his car trying to drive away from his own home to go about his business and go to work. And beloved, he's not the only one. There's probably more than 100 deaths. I don't know, something like 52 have been reported in 2026. 52, excuse me, there were more back in 2026. And this is including people who are being detained as well as those trying to run toward freedom. Okay? The Associated Press called Juan's death the ninth, which is incorrect, but this is what they're reporting. The 9 immigration-related killing since the administration returned to power. The Guardian puts the number at 10. Other newsrooms count differently, especially those that are integrating the deaths of those who are being detained. Okay? And so, but hear me carefully, the disagreement is only about the number. It's only about the number, right? This is not funny. And I pray for Juan Sebastian Guerrero and his family and his daughter. And I speak his name, Juan. May he receive the justice that he deserves and his family. So, the disagreement isn't a number. No one is disputing those who have passed on, and every single count is climbing. None are getting less, they're all climbing. And that doesn't also include those individuals who are brutally beat down to the ground. They may still be living, but they are brutally attacked by up to 4, 5, 6, 7 folks calling themselves part of this ICE arm. I don't even know all the different names that they have for those people who are roaming the streets right now. In January, we know about this in Minneapolis. Miss Renee Good. Renee Good, I speak your name. May justice find you and your family. American citizen was killed trying to also escape toward freedom. All right, in Houston this month, a 52-year-old man named Lorenzo was shot during a traffic stop while he was picking up his work food. Over and over, the same details surface. Officers are firing into cars. People shot, trying to get away, trying to run toward freedom. Now, they have a word for this, what they're doing, and they call it enforcement. Okay? They call it law and order. Okay? They will tell you that these were the unfortunate outcomes of necessary operations. That is the language of the badge, and it is engineered to make you look away, my friends. But notice the one detail the language cannot hide. Again and again, these were people trying to leave, trying to drive off, trying to get to work, get home, get free, my friends. And the response to a black or brown body moving toward its own freedom was a bullet, or two, or three, or four, or five, or six, or seven, up to 21, perhaps. And that is not new. None of this is new. That is the oldest reflex this country has. And to understand it, we have to go back, much further back than Monday. Okay? I want to walk you through something here. I want you to feel how straight the line is. Before there was an ICE, okay? Before there was a single police department in this country, there were the slave patrols. In the 17th and 18th centuries, 1700, 1800s, and even after that, up until the 20th century, and we're not going to get into its mutation there, but we're going back to the American South. They organized armed bands of white men whose entire job, written into law, was to ride out at night, stop any black person they found, demand their papers, and hunt down the ones who had run. Historians will tell you plainly, those slave patrols are among the direct ancestors of American policing. The badge grew out of the patrol. And let me just give you a little caveat here. Organized armed bands of white men whose job was to ride out at night. These people rode out 24 hours, 7 days a week to police and kill and brutalize black and brown bodies. Okay? And these are in addition to those armed bands of men who wore white sheets over their head, similar to the mask of ICE agents whose job is now written into law. So we had the citizen bands, armed band, and then we had those slave patrols who were the predecessors to our law and order officers on whatever level they exist today. Okay? Think about what that means, my friends. The institution itself was born to do one thing, to control the movement of the black body and to hunt the body that fled. Now, I just want to say something about all of these news media that are continually going back and connecting ICE with Nazis, what they're doing with the Nazis. This is a purposeful sort of selective remembrance and memory because they're totally skipping over the bloody history of this country that actually is linked quite intimately with what is happening here today. They're jumping all the way over the pond and going into Germany. Germany, Nazi Germany, Hitler got most of his understandings of race, control of bodies, brutalization, killing, feeling people are nothing, not human. A lot of that came from the United States. So it is a misnomer to go from ICE agents today and connect them with Nazis in Germany. America has enough history of brutal surveillance and control to draw from. And so, this institution to control the movement of the body and to hunt the body that fled. All right? The law did not just hunt the enslaved, my friends. It deputized the entire nation to do it, like the KKK. It was made a crime for any ordinary citizen to refuse to help capture a human being running toward freedom. Renee Good understood this very, very well. Okay? And so the whole country was turned into a patrol. Every road became a checkpoint. Every breath a black person or brown person took could be interrupted by anyone, anywhere, at any time, demanding to know whose are you and where do you think you're going. Freedom itself was treated as evidence of a crime. To be caught moving toward liberty was to be caught in the act. Sounds far out and incredulous. It really does. But it actually existed here in America. And when slavery legally ended, the machine did not stop. It adapted. They wrote the black codes, laws that made the free black body illegal for simply existing without a white man's permission. Vagrancy laws that could arrest you for standing still, for being unemployed, for walking without a pass. They criminalized your existence and they called it order. Then came convict leasing, where they arrested black people on those invented charges and then rented them out as labor so slavery could keep on running under a new name, incarceration. Then came the lynching tree, where the hunt became public spectacle. These things are so happening now. A warning nailed to the whole community: do not run, do not rise, do not forget what your body is for. And then the patrol put on a modern uniform. It became the police department. the patrol wagon, the traffic stop. It became the war on drugs and mass incarceration until the nation caged more of its own people than any country on planet Earth. And a wildly disproportionate number of them wore this skin right here. And now it wears three letters, I.C.E. Okay? Unmarked Ford Explorers at dawn. Officers with no body cameras surrounding a car. A man shot for trying to drive away from his own home. Sorry, folks. Having a bit of difficulties here with the shading in a second. Yeah, I'm vain. It's okay. If I ain't gonna love on me, how can anybody else know how to love on me, right? So, do you see the line that I'm drawing here? Slave patrols, Fugitive Slave Act, black codes, convict leasing, the lynching tree, the police department, mass incarceration, ICE. It is not a series of accidents, my friends. It is an unbroken machine. And it has only ever had one assignment: to surveil, to capture, to punish the racialized body that dares to move freely. Now, let me be careful and honest here because precision is how we keep our power, right? Excuse me. I should have got a tissue. Many of the people being killed in these raids are brown, Mexican, Colombian, Central American. Their history is not identical to the history of black chattel slavery, and I will never flatten that. Our stories are our own. But the machine that hunts us, that is shared. That is definitely shared. America built its machinery for hunting human beings and perfected that machinery on black flesh. And once a nation builds a tool like that, it does not retire. Okay? It definitely does not retire. It does not. It simply goes looking for new bodies to use it on. The target changes, the uniform changes, but the reflex, the deep national reflex to see a melanated body in motion and reach for a weapon has never changed. And it probably will never change, no matter how much you believe that protesting and voting will help. I'm not being cynical, I'm being realistic. Okay, so when I tell you the world has always feared your body, I am not being poetic. I am being historical, as we all should be. History here in America, not in Germany. There's a straight line from the man on the auction block to the man in the white sedan in Bedford, Maine. Okay? And we are the ones alive to see it and to name it. We are bearing witness. That's a privileged position as much as it is scary for many, harmful to us and those being harmed.